Sylvie of the multiple award-winning The Queen Sylvie Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Sylvie or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah.
Are you tired of driving around a dirty car? Say hello to the ultimate solution for your car. Quick Auto Detail, home, work, or wherever. Their mobile car spa will clean and shine your car anytime and anywhere. Their products are gentle on your car's paint, and they use only the highest quality materials. Book your appointment now.
Hey kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy it. Remember, lots of adults and kids, too, paid admission to enjoy the show. We must insist on absolute quiet.
Well, Vladimir, looks like you lost your chance on Ukraine.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, I was going to give you half of it very strongly, but now the Ukrainians are going to win back the whole damn thing.
Is that so? Who's going to help them do this? You?
Of course not. It's going to be the Europeans.
How many divisions do they even have?
I have no idea.
I'm waiting for a phone call like, Vladimir, unless you give up Ukraine, we're going to force you to use a USB-C plug on your smartphone.
Oh, boy. No, it's really nice to have a good laugh like this, just like old times.
Laughter is such important emotional cleanser.
Yeah, it really is. So, you want to end the war in Ukraine?
Still no.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Hey, everybody, and thanks for dropping by and spending another Wednesday with me on Tim's Tidbits. See what we can do as far as summarizing this week in chaos coming out from around the world and domestically right out of Washington for you. And I hope that beyond that, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope everybody's having a good week thus far. Things are starting to cool down a little bit in the fall here up in the Midwest. And leaves are starting to change, get a little bit crispy in the morning. So, hey, pretty soon, and oh yeah, that's right, Halloween is just around the corner. And don't forget to stop by your local Starbucks or whatever and get your pumpkin spice latte. Anyhow, that's what brings your Halloween nightmares, right? Anyhow, people, hey, let's get on to the show and see what in the heck is going on around the world and around the U.S. And let's see, how about domestically? Let's see, what has our POTUS done to destroy the Constitution this week? And we do know that the Congress was unable to pass a continuing resolution budget to let the fund the government through the end of the year. Seems like they can never get through that. And so we are now in day 3 of our government shutdown, maybe day 4. This is Wednesday, yeah. So, hey, people, still all kinds of people out there wondering what the hell's going to happen to me. When am I going to be called back to work? There's some people realizing, just like you and me working in the government, they could be in custodial services for all that is, that need a paycheck just as bad as we do to make their monthly bills. And some of this stuff, who knows how long it's going to go on before Congress decides that, maybe they can reach across the aisle to one another and maybe make a cohesive agreement. But who knows? But one of the things that Trump is threatened also here, just to mix it up a little bit more, is maybe it's a good time to lay some people off. Maybe it's a good time that maybe you shouldn't even get paid for your services in the U.S. government.
Well, as the back and forth plays out on Capitol Hill, we are learning federal employees sidelined during the shutdown may not get the back pay that they have counted on. Fox 5's Tom Fitzgerald live on Capitol Hill tonight. And Fitz, I know you have been talking with some federal employees, and I can only imagine that this latest threat adds just another layer of worry to all of this.
Well, good evening. It is still not clear right now whether this is a promise or a negotiating tract. But this much we do know. There was reporting this morning that a memo has been circulating around the White House that the administration is considering not giving full back pay to all furloughed federal employees once this shutdown ends, when it ends. Now, Democrats argue that this would not only be illegal to do, however, they also said it would add insult to injury of the financial pain that federal workers are experiencing right now. There was a law passed in 2019 providing for full back pay for government employees who are not contractors and have been affected by not getting paychecks throughout this shutdown. At the lower end of the pay scale, the concern is even greater. Rosaria Craig is a custodian at the State Department. She says right now she has no financial cushion. What she does have is a lot of bills, and she's very worried right now about what the future holds.
I mean, we not rich, so we don't have money to go in our bank accounts like these rich people do to pay their bills. We have to try to make ends meet some other kind of ways.
Now, keep in mind, there are 750,000 federal employees affected by all this, but it is not just the federal employees in the DMV region that are feeling the pain of this shutdown. Consider there are supermarkets, there are restaurants, there are gas stations that all depend on the federal workforce going to work. We saw this throughout COVID. Right now, that is not happening in large part, and it is having an economic effect on the region. Republicans like Maryland Congressman Andy Harris says all Democrats have to do right now to end this shutdown is to vote with them. Democrats say all they're gutting is, instead of negotiations, are scare tactics.
Many of their offices or agencies shut down. The endless attacks, rhetorical and other, on them throughout the Trump administration. So this shutdown, this Trump shutdown, is one more thing.
Every so often you have to look through any bureaucracy, any business that operates, and make sure that you're running it most efficiently. That's what the president is doing right now.
How interesting. So anyhow, threatening that some federal workers that are on furlough, i.e. probably like that custodial worker that they interviewed, is not going to receive back pay. How interesting about that is there was a law passed in 2019 that guaranteed back pay to federal workers who were on furlough. Guess who signed and invoked that law? Oh, yeah, it was Trump. So he likes to play both sides. Work that magic card, work that magic pin, to his advantage. So, yeah, kind of interesting. But anyhow, and, also, to his advantage, we know that Trump had a real issue with what he thought was the weaponization of the Department of Justice against him. And now he's talking about sending his head of the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, after individuals, like former FBI Director Jim Comey, who he thinks leaked propaganda, false information on purpose against him during his campaign in 2020. But who knows? But in any regards, it seems that Donald is doing exactly what he blamed the Democratic, the administration under Biden of doing, is weaponizing the DOJ against him, and now he's going to put Pam Bondi against some of his enemies. And right now they're trying to, get the indictment on Comey so they can get him in and do their investigation. But let's listen to a little bit of back and forth when Bondi was in Congress. This is crazy.
Inside a Senate office building, a hearing that was combative from the start.
I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
I've been on this committee for more than 20 years. That's the kind of testimony you expect from this administration. A simple question as to whether or not they had a legal rationale for deploying National Guard troops becomes grounds for a personal attack.
Democratic senators grilled Attorney General Pam Bondi over a litany of issues, including the firing of prosecutors.
Are you firing career prosecutors solely because they worked on cases like January 6th that the president doesn't like?
A jet gifted to President Trump from Qatar.
Trump has asked us to leave.
The January 6 pardons. Deployment of the National Guard to U.S. cities. Bondi repeatedly aimed to turn the tables, attacking Democrats, trying to govern time, and over declining to answer their questions.
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
Democrats raised as possible politicization the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey, which happened shortly after President Trump pushed for his prosecution on social media. They asked Bondi, was she directed to prosecute him?
I am not going to discuss any conversations I have, nor any investigations, nor
you are unwilling
any
to tell this
pending
committee
cases.
about conversations with the White House
And if I may
James
continue,
Comey's indictment.
The hearing ended much as it began.
Was she
if
right?
you worked for me,
Was
you
she-
would have been fired because
excuse
you
me.
were censured
No,
by Congress
you-
for lying with your.
As California Senator Adam Schiff, a Trump rival who led an impeachment effort and whom Trump has threatened with prosecution, sparked more derision from Bondi.
You can stipulate to all your personal attacks on the Democratic members of the committee.
Personal attacks. You've been
So-
attacking
so-
my FBI director. You've been attacking my office. You've been attacking.
But what we're interested in.
Borders are.
What we're interested in is the answer to these oversight questions.
You want your
So
no,
you were
oversight.
asked
want
you were
your
asked by
5
my
minutes of
colleague.
fame
You were asked by my colleague.
attacking good people.
Regular order, Madam Chair, so I can ask a question.
A nearly 5-hour hearing with answers for Republicans and for Democrats, a challenge to their right to ask questions about everything from the courts to the National Guard.
You're sitting here grilling me, and they're on their way to Chicago to keep your state safe.
Madam Attorney General, it's my job to grill you.
And with that, the hearing is adjourned.
Does that sound like they made any progress? That sounded insane. Yeah, come on, people. What the heck? Yeah. She's very defiant, very hostile. Yeah, I think it would be hard for, especially, she was coming across to the Dems real hard, but I guess that's her position, and that's why Trump put her where he put her, is because, that's the kind of little hard nose that he wants in that particular office. So, hey, we also know that, Trump is deploying troops. What was that? He's trying to put them into Portland. He wants to put them in Portland. They've been in New York. He wants to put them in Chicago. In fact, he did put them in Chicago. And geez, guess what happened? There was a little bit of an incident when he decided to deploy his troops to Chicago, even though the governor, the city, the mayor, the police chief, nobody really wants them there. There's really not that necessity for them. It causes a whole lot more tension than it does doing good. And then look what's going to happen to these volunteers, let's call them volunteers, that are doing their weekend duty, to the country that they served. You know, that this is what. Do you think they signed up for a service like this to come into your city and to control you, to police you, to use martial law on you? I doubt that very much when they signed up for this. But things are sparking off. Things aren't going well, and kind of keep in mind that have a little compassion for the guy on the other end of that, because he may not want to be there any more than you want his ass there.
Today, chaos broke out near Kedzie and 40th Street in Brighton Park. It's the same area Homeland Security says agents were boxed in by 10 cars this morning. When agents got out, DHS says they saw one of the drivers that cornered them had a gun. They say the agents shot at her in self-defense.
The female call station been shot in the arm and legs, and the ICE agent shot her.
Homeland Security says she is a U.S. citizen who wrote threatening messages on social media toward agents. They say she went to the hospital, was released, and no agents were hurt.
The caller was instigating a fight with the agents. Caller told 911 that ICE was shooting live rounds at moving traffic.
Once protesters got to the area, Alderwoman Julia Ramirez says she
posted
saw another man taken by
messages
federal
and
agents at this gas station nearby.
Since then, there was one car that was at this gas station with a person, a U.S. citizen, who has now been detained.
All morning and into the afternoon, there were tense moments between agents and protesters. There was yelling, objects thrown, and officers spraying pepper balls. Groups of federal agents kept arriving on scene. Within 20 minutes when we got to the scene here, we saw about 4 to 5 undercover federal agent SUVs make their way through the crowd here and go underneath the tape. And each time we saw this, we saw protesters fight back.
They seemingly are like doing it every 5 minutes to continue the irritation on people. It's almost like they want people to be provoked.
At one point, a military vehicle pulled up near the protesters and an agent drew his gun from the roof, pointing it at protesters below.
It looked like they were like in the military now. You know, it's like a war zone here.
Chicago police say they were on scene to document, maintain safety, and control traffic. They were not involved in the incident or the federal investigation.
Wow. So there you go, because ICE trying to go in and just at a whim grab people that may look like they're not perfectly white. So if you're not perfectly white, we're going to stop you and make sure that you're well documented. You belong here in the first damn place. Wonder why shit's going crazy, and wonder why there is a huge battle over what's going on. I mean, should we really be deploying, our National Guard to these various cities? And you have court injunctions, everything else going on, but let's dive a little bit deeper into it. Let's listen to the POTUS's standpoint on it, too.
With some federal agents and protesters clashing in Chicago and Portland, Oregon, President Trump now says he would consider invoking the Insurrection Act to send the military into those cities if the courts block his deployment of National Guard troops.
We have an Insurrection Act for a reason. I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up.
That federal law that dates back to 1807 gives the president emergency powers to deploy the military to suppress what he deems as a rebellion or civil unrest. Illinois and its Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker is suing to block Trump's plan to send roughly 200 troops to Chicago, the governor calling it an unconstitutional invasion. But a federal judge has, at least for now, declined to stop that deployment.
What Donald Trump, I believe, is trying to do, incite it so they can bring more troops in, invoke the Insurrection Act, and militarize Chicago and other major cities.
The president has also attacked Portland as a burning hellhole that he claims has been overtaken by left-wing domestic terrorists.
Portland is on fire. Portland's been on fire for years.
Targeting the Democratic-led city a day after a federal judge, a Trump nominee, blocked him from sending National Guard troops there.
I think that's all insurrection. I really think that's really criminal insurrection.
Local authorities are forcefully pushing back, saying the chaos is confined to a single downtown city block.
In America, that we don't put the military on our streets unless it's extreme circumstances like an invasion or rebellion. And those things, they just don't exist right now in Oregon.
Just last week, President Trump urged America's top generals to use some of those cities as training grounds for the U.S. military, and as a candidate flirted with invoking the Insurrection Act to suppress unrest.
Some Republican leaders are already embracing the president's efforts. Overnight, Texas's Governor Greg Abbott posted this picture of National Guardsmen from his state heading off to other states like Oregon and Illinois to support the president's crackdown. If President Trump moves forward with the Insurrection Act, those National Guard would be granted the same law enforcement powers as local police.
Wow. So are we living in an authoritarian government where the president with a stroke of the pen can say, your town blows, your town's full of Democrats, your state's full of Democrats, we're going to send in the troops and we're going to make sure that we take care of whatever problem they see. I can't quite understand what they're looking at when they decided they need to put the National Guard in. And what they deem as an insurrection by the people who are protesting being suppressed, having their rights taken away from them. And now you're going to call that an insurrection, and we can shoot at them. And, hey, and it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. What else does he threaten? He's threatened, various museums. He's renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. He's talking that the Cleveland Indians, should go, instead of being the Guardians, should go, who the hell knows? This man is freaking insane. And speaking of even more insane, we know that they want to do a lot of what he calls, erase the history. Why not, rewrite a lot of it when it comes to especially domestically how we handled, the indigenous people as well as how we did with the slaves during the inception of our country. Until we smartened up and finally, we did the 14th Amendment. But in any regards, Trump is, was at battle at a bunch of the major universities about what he believed was teaching, I guess, woke thoughts, when it came to, whether it be bisexuality, whether it comes to, your different perspectives on the various religions, whatever the case may be. But if you did not get in line with Trump, he became his enemy when it became a university. And so far, we have 9 universities who have buckled under, and they're going to sign what they call a declaration so that they can secure federal funding. And is this just a trend? Is this just a unique event, or is this how it's going to be now when it comes to our educational system here? You're going to have to sign some type of a pledge on how you're going to utilize your fundage, and it's going to be dictated to you. Interesting that the government has got their hands so far into our education system. But check this out. 9 universities or colleges both have buckled so far, so check it out.
5:36 right now. 9 major U.S. colleges and universities have been asked to sign a pledge in exchange for expanded access to federal funding.
Now, the White House sent letters to a mix of public and private institutions Wednesday. They include UT Austin, Vanderbilt, the University of Pennsylvania, Brown, and 5 others. The document asks universities to stick to strict gender roles and asks that no more than 15% of a university's undergrad population participate in the student visa exchange program.
It also bans factors like race, nationality, and political views from being considered in admissions. They also say schools have to freeze tuition for 5 years, cap the enrollment of international students to 15%, and commit to strict definitions of gender. In a statement from the UT system, which says in part, quote, "We welcome the new opportunity presented to us, and we look forward to work with the Trump administration on it," end quote. Here's what a UT student and professor had to say on the matter.
I think in these times we have to support each other where and when we can, and it would be nice if the university could set that example, but I just don't think if they decide to do this, I don't think they would be doing that.
I think it's a great opportunity for universities across the country, for university leaders and politicians to openly discuss what this is, what it means, and why they should or should not move forward with it.
Brown University had already reached a $50 million deal with the Trump administration to restore the school's federal funding. The University of Pennsylvania also reached an agreement regarding transgender athletes.
I don't know. What do you think, folks? Should the government be able to dictate? Maybe so, maybe not. You know, what type of education is going to be funded by the federal government? Whether maybe they don't want to. Maybe you have other thoughts about it. What should be taught, what shouldn't be taught in these universities. But I just don't like so much control. I kind of like a little bit more hands-off when it comes to the government. And again, if you don't like what they're saying, you don't have to go to that university. You don't like what somebody's saying on the street, you can walk on by and don't have to listen to them. I don't understand why people have to take such a defensive posture all the time when just as easy, if it doesn't affect you directly, then walk on by. Anyhow, hey, speaking of having something affect us directly, and we do know that since the government shut down, they have to have essential workers, i.e., this one we're going to lead into would be your agents, the TSA agents, as well as your air traffic controllers. And what happens if, your air traffic controllers say, well, if I'm not going to be getting paid, well, then why in the hell should I show up? Well, that's what happened at Burbank Airport in Los Angeles, and check it out.
Okay, we are learning more on our breaking news. This is a live shot from Burbank. We know the government shutdown is now impacting travelers. Let's go to Air 7 and Chris Christie for all the details. Chris?
That's right, Colleen. In fact, we just spoke to air traffic controllers here at Burbank Airport in the last few minutes, and they can now confirm that they will be heading home at 4:15 this afternoon. As of 4:15 this afternoon, there will be no air traffic controllers inside of that tower right there. Instead, they will be handing off their duties to SoCal TradeCon. It's their approach and departure team out of San Diego who will be talking to the pilots who are landing and taking off here at Burbank. They are hoping for minimal impacts on travelers, but it is still yet to be determined how severe those impacts will be. As of right now, the FAA is trying to call in additional controllers to come in early before those overnight hours. A fluid situation we're going to continue to stay on top of. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Oh, wow. So, yeah. Interesting. If you were flying into Burbank, I believe that's Bob Hope Airport. If you're flying into Burbank, yeah, you are, your pilot's being directed by air traffic control in San Diego. That's a trip. That's insane. Speaking of insane, we do know that it's getting harder and harder for some of these chain companies to stay afloat. One of the companies that's having a hard time staying afloat is Rite Aid. And unfortunately, when Rite Aid closes, it creates a inconvenience for the neighborhood of, where now am I going to get my prescriptions refilled? And, well, Rite Aid has officially this week said, we're out of here, we're toast, and they are done and gone. And see what happens now when you need a prescription filled, because Rite Aid is not going to be there.
All right, a national drugstore chain officially no more.
Yeah, not doing quite as well as the top 10%. Rite Aid is out of business. Not a huge surprise here. The drugstore chain already bankrupt. It filed for bankruptcy protection back in May. That's its second filing since 2023. And now it says, yeah, we're not coming back. Our doors are closed for good. And they've thanked their customers for their past support. The company's website, which I just checked a moment ago, now only shows former customers how they can request their pharmacy records when they have to take their records to some other provider out there. Rite Aid stores have been acquired in recent months by rivals CVS, Walgreens, Albertsons, and others. The company sold off its popular Thrifty ice cream line back in June. At its peak, Rite Aid had thousands of stores nationwide. But the company was a bit of a laggard in transitioning to a digital future and is now well behind the likes of Amazon, Walmart, and its traditional rivals like CVS in playing a greater role online.
Yeah, the one in my neighborhood shut down quite a while ago. It's now a Container Store.
Yeah, likewise. Ours is just still closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here down the street from where we live. Rite Aid's still closed. There's a couple still left in town, but obviously they're going to be closing real soon. Yeah. So Rite Aid, unfortunately, besides some of that creates a, prescription desert for some individuals, because that may have been within walking distance of some people who, they don't have the ability to, ride, drive, and now they're going to have to figure out another way to get to the pharmacy to get their prescription. But one thing, though, I'll tell you, our wonderful POTUS has come up with a great idea to help you with that prescription problem. Besides it being high cost, he's going to help you out, as he always does. Well, I mean, he's helped you out when it comes to digital trading cards, your new Bible, new pair of basketball sneakers. He's got all kinds of Trump-related items to make, everyday life so much easier for you and more rich for him. But in any regards, now, to help you out, problem that we're having when it comes to a prescription desert, let's call them, how about if we come up with a novel idea and we'll call it Trump RX?
We start right now with breaking news from the White House. Just now, President Trump announcing a deal between Medicaid and pharmaceutical giant Pfizer to bring down drug prices, as well as a new website called Trump RX for Americans to buy medications. NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba joins us now. Monica, this news coming out just from the White House behind you. What do we know about the specifics with this Pfizer deal?
Well, Morgan, this is something that the White House and President Trump had been pushing for months. He signed an executive order earlier in the year, and he asked all of these drug makers to essentially see how they could lower prescription drug costs. And they had until September 29th, so yesterday, to respond to that. So we know this announcement with Pfizer that is currently being announced in the Oval Office is a pledge to lower some of those prescription drug costs. We don't know exactly which drugs are involved. They will likely talk about some of those specifics here as the CEO of Pfizer is in attendance and will offer some short remarks, we're told, after we hear from some of these other key cabinet secretaries who have been involved in this decision and in this push. And the president, in his opening remarks, said he would like other drug makers to follow suit and to bring some of those costs down, because historically the U.S. has way higher prescription drug costs than other nations. And so that has been the overall goal and aim of this administration, to try to bring them down. So Pfizer making this announcement. And again, we're more specifics and details on exactly how it will work. Morgan.
What about this so-called Trump RX website? How is it supposed to work?
So this is supposed to be a direct-to-consumer website that is named after the president. We, again, are waiting on more details on exactly how it will work and which drugs would be a part of this. Pfizer does make, of course, many different drugs, and so we are waiting to see if all of them will be available for this or just certain ones. And this is something where they are trying to cut out some of course, where we see the costs come up with some of the intermediaries, and allowing people now to just log on and order these different prescription drugs, again, through Pfizer. And we'll see which other drug makers may follow suit now that this announcement is out there. Morgan.
Interesting, huh? Trump RX. And by the way, yeah, it'll probably maintain that name, but yeah, I wonder if he's getting some NIL money for using his name on that site. Get a little bit of residual because you said it's Trump RX. Anyhow, hey, the other thing that I thought was kind of funny and I came across is the Bad Bunny, the rapper singer, is going to be at this year's Super Bowl. And it really bothers Trump, apparently. And it bothers him so much to the point that he's going to have ICE present at the Super Bowl to deport any Mexican-looking individuals that are here illegally. It should be really... I don't see how he's going to find a single illegal there at the Super Bowl. Think about this. We all know the price of tickets. You can't even stand outside for less than $1,000. Get within good parking distance and get into the area to where you can even watch it on maybe the big screens. And there is no illegal immigrants that's got those kind of ends that's got to show up for that shit. But in any regard, that doesn't matter. I think he's just doing it to make a statement, just rub, the Latino population just a little bit wrong again. But again, he's promised, if and when, and that's going to happen, Bad Bunny is at the Super Bowl. If he sees an illegal, you're going to be deported.
A top Trump aide says ICE agents will be headed to the Super Bowl. All right, Lydia, what are they going to do there?
Well, they're going to be looking for illegal immigrants. And ICE is making this announcement after the NFL announced that Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny is going to headline the halftime show coming up in February. And they're making that invitation to the artist, even though Bad Bunny is being accused of snubbing the United States. He's launching a global tour with stops across Europe and Australia and Japan, but he's skipping the United States because he says he's concerned about ICE raids at his concerts. So now in response, DHS advisor Corey Lewandowski says that ICE will pursue immigration enforcement at the game, warning, quote, "There is nowhere you can provide safe haven to people here illegally. We'll find you and deport you."
Wow. What a story. That's
a lot of people are going to be watching the game.
Oh, yes, they are. Thanks, Lydia.
Yeah.
We will find you. We will deport you. We will find you at the Super Bowl game. That's crazy. Yeah, well, hey, what else are we doing with the money? And besides, those guys aren't getting paid anyhow. They're on furlough. That's some funny as shit. Wait, that's funny as shit. So you got these ICE agents out there getting spit on, getting shit thrown at them, making arrests on a whim of anybody that looks Mexican, and they're not even getting paid for it. They're on furlough. You dumbasses. You should give Trump the middle finger, too, and say, well, I'll get back on my job when you start fucking paying me. Anyhow, hey, speaking of issues, when you get older, when you're retired and you become on a fixed income, you kind of had a projection, as they do today. When you sit down with a financial consultant and they project with you a little bit, what am I going to need in my pocket to kind of get by when I'm 64? And they lay that out for you. But what you really don't anticipate is actually being taxed out of your home. So maybe one tax after another, and they keep raising for your middle school, for your property tax, whatever particular issue they want to hang on your property tax. Now there's a lot of seniors that, the evaluation of their $50,000 to $100,000 home when they bought it some years back is now evaluated $300,000 to $400,000, and the tax rates tripled, quadrupled, and they are just not ready for it. And unfortunately, too many are now starting to lose their home.
First tonight, senior citizens are struggling to stay in their homes as the cost of living has gone up across the board. The communities most vulnerable are being affected.
WNBD's Cameron Main spoke to senior residents of Peoria, including experts, to find out why this has become such an issue. Cameron.
Rebecca Thomas, living as a senior can already be difficult since some need help doing laundry or even just taking care of the lawn. But there's one big bill that's putting a sore point in their retirement funds: property taxes. Senior citizens are being priced out of their homes.
I visit people every day who are living in retirement communities, who couldn't afford to stay in their home anymore.
Rising costs since the COVID-19 pandemic have affected a lot of people's wallets. Senior citizens are some of the most vulnerable who rely on retirement benefits. Gary Millen says it's grim for Peoria's oldest residents.
And it's a shame because a lot of people can't afford to even subscribe to the newspaper.
One sore point for senior citizens is property taxes. Let's say it's the 1990s and you just bought a home for $100,000. Well, it's 2025 now, and that could be worth $300,000. That's usually great news, except if you're a senior citizen that also retired in the 90s. Now that property value, you're not really planning to sell and gain that profit. But that property tax has gone up over the years, alongside the cost of living issues such as grocery prices and utilities. That means that senior citizens often are priced out of their homes, losing a lot of their retirement fund.
A goal for senior citizens is to age in place. Tessa Mahoney, the executive director of Central Illinois' Agency of Aging, says the state needs to change its policies to help seniors.
Our systems are not created or designed to support that many older adults even going to long-term care facilities. So coming up with different creative solutions is important.
That plea for help has been heard. A Democratic bill in Springfield would change the homestead program. That program allows senior citizens earning $65,000 or less a year to freeze their property tax rate. Under the Democratic proposal, the exemption would increase from $65,000 to $80,000.
I think this is a way to at least keep them in their homes, which is, I think, very, very important.
That plan could receive bipartisan support, as state Republicans have been calling for property tax relief. Some aging experts say this could be a game changer.
It will help keep older adults in their homes. They can remain in their own home, not have that traumatic transition, but with the supports that they need as they grow older, that is the ideal situation.
Interesting. Yeah. Hey, once I retired, though, I unloaded my home. Not unloaded. I had a beautiful home. But in any regards, no. I mean, just because of, hey, ongoing maintenance, ongoing inside and outside of the home, increasing taxes because of, school district taxes or sewer taxes, whatever the case may be, street taxes. They're always whipping stuff on you. But, hey, all the kids were up and gone, so why hang on to just a memory? You can downsize yourself and live a much happier life and have a little bit of ends in your pocket when it comes down to it. Anyhow, hey, I ran across something else that I wanted to share with you. And, everybody does enjoy a little bit of Louisiana chicken. But what happens when Popeyes is suing Popeyes because Popeyes realizes that Popeyes isn't Popeyes? I'm freaking confused.
A fast food franchise fight is heating up in federal court.
The owner of several Iowa Popeyes restaurants is now at the center of a lawsuit with the brand. KCCI's Olivia Tyler read through the documents and is now sharing the details.
The owner of this Popeyes here on Merle Hay Road and 4 others across Iowa is being sued in federal court by Popeyes Corporation for using its trademarks and operating systems without authorization. Court documents say Asif Punja of Illinois owned Popeyes franchises in Des Moines, Coralville, Waterloo, and Dubuque. His restaurant in Chicago is also named in the suit. Punja's company, Jam Equities, had prior agreements with Popeyes Corporation. However, court records claim those agreements were terminated last month. The lawsuit claims Punja's 5 locations repeatedly failed inspections. Popeyes claims the restaurants were not up to its standards in regard to food safety and brand standards. It also says Popeyes Corporate gave Punja's restaurants time to fix those issues, but that never happened. The locations continue to operate under the brand anyway, branding like this trademark seal and popular catchphrases. The lawsuit aims to have Punja and the equity firm discontinue the use of the brand and not to operate any Popeyes restaurants within a 10-mile radius of the current locations for a 2-year period. KCCI has reached out to Punja's lawyer, but has not yet heard back. In Des Moines, Olivia Tyler, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.
Interesting. So he purchased the franchise, and then he wasn't up to the standards. So they're telling him you can no longer operate under the Popeyes names because you're giving the franchise a bad name. Understood. Now I cleared it totally up. Now I know. Hey, anyhow, let's get on to one of the favorite parts of the show that people like, and that is, seriously, dude, what the fuck? This what the fuck moment is more, it really is a what the fuck moment. It's more like a dumbass moment, but it's a what the fuck moment. And there's a new fad going on in New York in the subway system, or on the subway system, I guess is a better way to put it. Check this out.
And a heartbreaking discovery early this morning at the Marcy Avenue subway station. Police say 2 young girls were found dead on top of a train car. And investigators believe this is another case of deadly subway surfing. News 4's Axel Turcios is in Williamsburg with the latest.
Horrible and sad.
This woman says it's shocking to hear 2 more lives have been lost to subway surfing. You have seen kids doing this before?
Yes, a couple of years back, we saw 2 kids right here in this station.
Subway surfing is a dangerous stunt in which people attempt to surf or lie down on top of moving subway cars.
They've been doing it for years, and they continue doing it. They see what's going on, and they still do it, so it's just not.
This time, tragedy striking the Marcy Avenue and Broadway subway station in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. The NYPD is saying 2 young teenagers, one 13-year-old and another one between the ages 13 to 18, were found unconscious on the roof of the Brooklyn-bound J train just after 3 this morning. Police believe they were subway surfing. Paramedics attempting to save the young women's lives, but pronouncing them dead at the scene.
I was like, what's going on? Why are they doing this?
Milvia Rodriguez says she's seen this type of stunt firsthand.
One was 12 and the other one was 14, and they were going that way. And they were on top, standing.
Early Saturday, officers were seen taking the 2 bodies in plastic bags. An agent was carrying a skateboard and a small bag out of the station. A cop was also seen talking to 2 teenage boys at the scene. Later, the officer driving them away in a patrol car.
We live in the times that the TikTok and that kind of stuff is like providing really, really bad influence.
The deadly trend has become popular on social media.
The NYPD is telling us that so far in 2025, at least 128 people have been arrested for subway surfing. They're also telling us that with this new incident, 5 people have died because of subway surfing. In Williamsburg, I'm Maxwell Tercios, News 4 New York.
Wow. 5 people died. Those 2, obviously, yeah, something slammed them in the head and knocked them off the back of the frickin' train. And yeah, you know, some of this TikTok shit is insane, and that's one of them, folks. That's absolute craziness. Absolute craziness. Anyhow, hey, let's get into the show's award for who is getting this asshole of the week merit badge. And this week goes to a care provider. Yes, a care provider for a disabled individual. And you're not going to believe the deplorable conditions that this care provider had this disabled individual living in. Check this on out, folks.
10. New details tonight on a disturbing case out of Oswego County. A woman facing felony charges after troopers say a disabled adult was found living in horrific conditions on her property. Our Gary Robinson Jr. is in studio tonight with what investigators say they discovered. Gary, what'd you find?
Yeah, Matt, troopers say the 46-year-old victim was confined inside this shed, and it's about as big as the area that I'm standing in now, a space filled with garbage, over 100 degrees inside, and described as unfit for anyone to live in. State police say the case began back in July when a healthcare provider called 911 with concerns that the victim wasn't receiving her medication. Troopers responded to a home on Route 11 in Hastings and found the woman, who was described as being nonverbal, physically disabled, and in distress. Inside the shed, investigators say she had no access to water, and the woman was forced to use a bucket as a toilet. State police say the woman had been wearing the same soiled clothes for days and was surrounded by flies. EMS transported her to Upstate Hospital, where she was found severely dehydrated, unable to walk, and suffering from multiple broken bones. 75-year-old Maria Traub was arrested this week. She's charged with endangering the welfare of an incompetent or physically disabled person and reckless endangerment.
So I wonder how that was related. If she just had them living on her property and was probably making some type of government money, you know, for helping out or housing a disabled person, and was trying to slide around that. But that's just sick, sad, and disgusting. So, well-deserved asshole of the week. Anyhow, folks, speaking of wrapping up this week, let's get on out of here and head towards another weekend and hoping it's going to be good. Weather doesn't look too bad coming across the entire nation. We'll see. But in any regards, I do hope you have the best of and enjoy it. And until next week, folks, I am so out of here, and have a great week. Have a great October as we slowly approach Halloween. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Washington, D.C., the most corrupt capital in the world. It's not even close. And the corruption starts right here at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Shady crypto deals, pardons for even the worst criminals, a massive cover-up. Protecting pedophiles and sex traffickers, run directly from the Oval Office in the Department of Justice. Tax breaks, no-bid contracts, backroom deals for people who made seven-figure contributions that reek of corruption. You trusted Donald Trump to clean up Washington, but instead he and his family are raking in billions. And your family? Screwed. Higher prices, jobs collapsing, grocery prices up, cost of living skyrocketing. And every day he makes you lie to yourself, to your family, to God. You know what he is. You know what he's done. You know what he's covering up. Corruption is a cancer in Washington, and the heart of that cancer is right here.
If you're red and want dictators instead, why not be led where fascists can thrive? It's Project 2025. Loyalty tests, centralized power, one branch is best. They'll devour you alive. It's Project 2025. Rights of LGBTQ are vanished. Any kind of birth control is banished. For the Spanish. Abortions, even for incest. This ain't France, we're against. Ain't no jive. It's Project 2025. Don't you know it's family first? Values in God, not traps of thirst. Roll back environmental and coal becomes essential. Every day AK-47, one got ours, so start repenting. Tariffs on our friends, free trade with Putin. If you're mad and think all immigrants bad, don't be sad, cause white men are glad to survive. It's Project 2025. Close the UN, say never again. Globalists pretend wars will just end. Swan dive. It's Project 2025. Reshape government with military. Anything that's woke, we will bury. Read our pitch like Newt Gingrich. Push politics that help the rich and thrive.